Jamie, I hear you have an exclusive news you want to tell us about.
Yeah, we must be getting big. This is great. I think this is the
Okay.
first exclusive we've ever had. The first of many exclusives, I'm sure.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of the VC React podcast. Every week, we bring you insights and reactions from top VCs, LPs, and angel investors reacting to the latest news on startups, VCs, and investment rounds. Let's jump into it with our amazing guests for today. Ali Salama, an angel investor with Qora71, with 12 investments so far. Hadi Halabi, co-founder and CEO at Stryde. Youssef Salem, founder at Qora71. And of course, my co-host Jamie Lane from FWDstart. In the video description, you can find more details on our guests, their LinkedIn profiles, and links to their companies' websites. This episode is brought to you by OCTA, the AI-powered finance automation platform built for modern businesses. Managing receivables is not one task. It's dozens of repetitive ones. Correcting invoice details, updating PO numbers, following up on payment status. It's operationally critical, but painfully manual.
OCTA changes that. It helps you automate your financial operations, starting with accounts receivable, so you can focus on what you're actually good at, growing your business. From contract to cash, OCTA's AI agents handle everything: invoice creation, reminders, dispute resolution, payment tracking, reconciliation, even financing. You don't need to learn how to use OCTA. OCTA learns how you work. It adapts to your SOPs and existing workflows to get the job done. Finance teams at Careem, Lean Technologies, and Algrim rely on OCTA to reduce admin time, speed up collections, and unlock cash flow.
If you've heard of them before, you know that they used to say 100 companies use OCTA. The number is now 500. They are moving fast. And that kind of growth only happens because the problem is real and the solution actually works. Automate the finance work that slows you down. See how at weareocta.com. Our weekly news are brought to you by FWDstart, a twice-weekly newsletter that breaks down what's happening in the MENA startup, VC, and tech space. Jamie, I hear you have an exclusive news you want to tell us about.
Yeah, we must be getting big. This is great. I think this is the
Okay.
first exclusive we've ever had. The first of many exclusives, I'm sure. And yeah, look, it's nearly remiss of me in one level to be the one sort of introducing it, because in one sense we have the protagonist actually involved in the particular story here
For
on
the
the
first
call. But
time, yes.
I know, for the first time, which is great. So it's always super
I'm
awkward
super
when you're
excited
like,
for this.
I know when you're kind of like quoting someone, their quote from the press release. There's nothing I love more than quoting someone to themselves. So we're definitely going to do that. But in any case, yeah. So the big news, the big exclusive is Dubai-based private market investment platform Stryde has acquired Qora71, an angel investment network launched under Hub71's Angel Syndicate program. And as part of this deal, Qora71 will be rebranded as Stryde71, and it's going to serve as Stryde's new venture investment arm, which is very exciting. And we'll ask Hadi and Youssef a small bit more about this. For some context about Stryde, it's a DFSA regulated platform, offers retail and professional investors access to alternative investments. And with the integration of Qora71, the company now comprises two verticals. So you have Stryde Sports, which focuses on athlete-led investments, and you have Stryde71, which is this new venture investing vertical. Qora71 launched only 5 months ago through Hub71, so moving quick. In that time, it's built a network of over 100 angel investors, participated in over 50 startup investments, many of which I've covered over the last number of months. It's difficult to keep up. I had deployed over $2 million into startups across various different sectors as well. And as part of this acquisition, good friend Youssef, who led Qora71, is going to be joining Stryde as a partner. So look, with that in mind, I think that the best thing to do on one level is to just open up the conversation to both sort of Hadi and Youssef. How did all of this come together and why?
We met, Hadi, we met in the Forbes, was it in the Forbes summit in Abu
It was,
Dhabi?
yeah, it was.
So that's all thanks to Forbes. I think it was actually was the last Forbes 30 under 30 summit. So I had a few good friends who were being recognized there, and we also they were kind enough to invite us for some panels and some discussions, etc. And that's actually where I met Hadi. Previously, we've exchanged emails and notes. I've always been very intrigued by his sports deals. Right, he's had Benfica, he's had Watford, he's had a lot of the top teams available on the platform. So obviously quite exclusive for people to be able to invest, like retail investing from $1,000 plus institutions plus qualified investors all coming through a single platforms, pretty high profile and pretty exclusive deals. So we bumped into Forbes, which by the way, also like me and Ali, the first time we met in person was not in Forbes. I think it was in Step Ali, but also Forbes is where kind of really we spent also our time together. So I think thanks a lot to Forbes today. A lot happening through them. So yeah, that's where we met. We started chatting. We talked about different deals, and here we are. And by the way, also on FWDstart, Ahmad, just for information, one of my honors that I was the first subscriber to FWDstart. So it's something I take very deep to my heart. So lots of
I thought
great
I was
friends.
the first one. Oh no, maybe the paid
no.
version. Okay.
They will compliment you.
Okay. But Youssef, let me stay with you. Why did you start the syndicate, and how come you got all of these achievements in only 5 or 6 months?
I think the DNA, and a lot of that is, I think, is going to be common when Hadi speaks about Stryde, right? So one is accessibility. Today, I think that's a core theme to everything we do, right? We want it to be, and it's accessibility to high profile, to exclusive deals. It's not necessarily that accessibility, i.e., you just flood everyone with everything. Accessibility means you actually bring very high quality, very exclusive things that are difficult to get, and then you make them accessible to people. So that was the idea, right? With Qora71 is Hub71 has companies coming from all over the world. You have more than 2,000 companies applying to every Hub71 cohort from like Argentina to Japan. And then they ultimately select 15, 20 companies. And then Qora71 gets basically a preferential ability to come in and invest early in these companies, as well as other kind of exclusive opportunities that we get because we have this network of people who add a lot of value to the companies. So we're able to get this exclusive deal flow early on from companies that we advise and support. And then we take that deal flow and then we make it accessible to people in a very kind of cost-effective and kind of very kind of preferential way. And I think that's what really attracted kind of people's attention. That's how we managed to scale very, very rapidly. So I would say kind of high quality exclusivity is really kind of the theme.
Hadi, let's move to you and tell us more about Stryde, and why did you expand into venture investing through this acquisition, not through creating your own venture arm?
From our end, we're a private markets investment platform. The way we look at ourselves is it's a one platform that can bring everyone, all types of investors, to invest in alternatives, whether that's sports, whether that's ventures, whether that's further expansion that we look to do down the line. It's a platform that allows Ahmad as an individual, Youssef as a family office, Ali as a fund, and all of us to be able to interact in one ecosystem to seamlessly, transparently, and easily just transact. One of the things is accessibility, and that's kind of the overarching theme and the alignment with Youssef. But then as a regulated business, we also have our own liquidity windows, our own markets where we can allow people to liquidate. And one of the biggest issues in private markets today is liquidity and how you exit and how you realize your returns. So we see that as a full end-to-end ecosystem and an end-to-end infrastructure, which, to be honest, in that specific framework, we don't look at anyone else. There is no one that can provide that service the way we do it. And the reason we look at ventures is we focused at sports, and in the sports space, it's very niche, and on a global scale, there is no one doing what we're doing at the sports level. But then we saw what Youssef was doing with Hub71, and we found that as the perfect opportunity to align all the interests. And to be honest, the stars aligned, and we realized it makes a lot of sense for us to basically combine and create Stryde71, which basically takes our vision of private markets in a scalable way and takes Youssef's vision of venture investing and access to exclusive deals, but we put it in one platform that's regulated and that's globally scalable. Today, Qora71 is the efforts of one man. What Youssef managed to do with it, no one can do with it, and it's all efforts of his network, his access, and his ability to bring together this community through Stryde. And what we can add from a tech perspective is that this network can be times 1,000 now. It can be to millions of people that can come in from anywhere in the world, invest in the deals that we're getting from anywhere in the world. So we saw that as the perfect opportunity. For us, we have Stryde, which does sports. We have Stryde71, which now does ventures. And Youssef being a partner at the holding level is, the value is across the different businesses. It's not specific to ventures. And the value that he can add will be incredible and has already been incredible. So for us, it was the perfect opportunity, the perfect time, the perfect person, and everything just aligned.
That's awesome. And congrats to both of you. Ali, you're one of the angel investors who invested through Qora in the UAE, in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and Sharjah. There's a lot of angel networks. Why join Qora71 Syndicate? Why not invest as an individual angel?
Echoing what Hadi was saying and Youssef, Number one, it's just all about finding value in co-creation. I think when you go in together with many esteemed investors, you actually add way more value to the company. And so that benefits all parties much more. That's number one. Number two, I owe a lot to Youssef because he taught me angel investing. And so on a personal side, I actually learned from him how to play the game and understand the risks and also have an appetite. And so I have a personal stake to give back to a mentor of mine and someone who I owe a lot of where I am right now too. But then the last thing I would say is, when you come to think about the community angle from an overall perspective of Qora, I remember Youssef, we had, I think 2 dinners or something like that. And just the value created by joining communities of such high caliber, there's nothing like that out here in the market in the Middle East. Typically, we're all doing things in parallel, but no sense of collaboration. That was something that I believed in our culture we lacked, and therefore Qora brought that on Youssef's personal side and Youssef's personality, very likable human being, very trusted human being, and also very accredited human being. And so when you bring all those three together, you create a rocket ship of potential synergies and enterprise, exponential enterprise value. And so for me, it was just a perfect opportunity. And today I'm very happy that we're seeing this come together.
Youssef, Ali stressed on the idea of the community-driven investing and the trust, and you personally as the face of this syndicate. How can you keep this community feel, community-driven investing, as you scale on Stryde's platform?
I think it's everyone bringing something unique. Like, for example, if we take Ali, he's become the ambassador of the syndicate to Egypt. So he's extended it there with kind of companies and angels. He's been the syndicate, he's been a kind of an ambassador to Canada. So he basically kind of engaged with the Canadian consulate and embassy and with the trade commissioner and created a linkage there, given also he previously kind of lived there and has that relationships. So I think even though I think it's the best of both worlds. It's basically Stryde making it scalable from a tech perspective and being able to come in a very kind of efficient and global way, but then every person having something to add in terms of value. Ali, for example, also bring the entire content creators network and industry, where all of these companies we're investing in ultimately wants to reach consumers, and they want to reach them via influencer marketing and via kind of content marketing. So it's basically making sure that this community, everyone in the community, we have more than 120 people. Obviously, Ali is by far one of the most active, if not the most active, but everyone brings something unique in terms of network, in terms of value add, and that's what allows us to keep the community alive. One of the last initiatives we've just done is launching a venture builder inside Curtin University in Dubai. We now have effectively the angel investor syndicate members themselves. They're becoming the mentors who will be mentoring the startups and the entrepreneurs inside the university to build ventures. So they're investors, but they're ambassadors. They're also mentors inside. They're helping venture build the next wave. So they're deeply involved, and that's why they're excited, and we're excited, and that's why the sustainability comes from it. Obviously, with Stryde, we're able to track and allocate and measure and assign all of that, right? So rather than having to do all of this on like Excel sheets and WhatsApps like we do today, we effectively now have an engine where we can identify and map and match, because obviously as you reach thousands of angels, how do you know which one can add which value to which startup? That's the kind of the value creation matching engine that Stryde has to allocate the right startup to the right mentor and connector to create value for that startup.
Hadi, it sounds like Stryde is now expanding and becoming private investment platform, like a syndicate background or maybe a back office for syndicates, kind of like AngelList plus Republic and some others, like a combination of too many things. Let me ask you this. What's the difference between a private investment platform and an equity crowdfunding platform? I worked in the US and I worked at King's Crowd for almost 4 years. And King's Crowd is equity crowdfunding aggregator. In the US, the equity crowdfunding exploded. Like a company can raise up to $5 million from the crowds, from private investors, not qualified investors, the retail investors, every single year. With other regulations, they can raise up to $75 million with every offering. What's the difference between that and what you're offering today in Dubai?
Ahmed, if you remember, we actually connected at the time you were working at King's Crowd when you were still in
Yes,
the
yeah.
US. That was a couple of years ago, and I still use King's Crowd as a reference to know about the numbers in the US because in terms of data, I think they're the leader in that space. But it's a great question because for me there is a huge distinction between traditional standard crowdfunding and between what we're doing. If you look at those companies that you mentioned, it's a volumes game. The minimum ticket is $10 and $50 and $100, and they do 50 deals or 100 deals a year. That's not what we want to do. And they get deals that are good, average, bad. And if you look at the returns over the past 10 years for these companies, we can categorize a lot of them as junk. I mean, as sad as it is, but it's retail capital going into these businesses. Youssef mentioned the point of access to exclusive deals, access to restricted deals. You don't see SpaceX on those platforms. You don't see Figure AI on those platforms, right? You don't see these very highly exclusive deals, whether regional or global, whether early or a bit later stage. You don't see that. That's not the normal crowdfunding model. What we do is we created a platform where every opportunity is curated, where we don't care about doing a high number of deals. We care about doing the right number of deals and the right type of deals and the right opportunities presented to our investor base. Our minimum ticket is still not as accessible as $10 and $100, and we have no plans of doing it as such. The minimum is $1,000, and that keeps a certain level of sophistication requirement. Because if you're willing to put 1,000 or 10,000 or 50,000 into it, then you understand a bit more how the spectrum works and how this asset class works. So for us, we look at ourselves as a platform that's curating exceptional investment opportunities, and that's not only bringing in retail investors to put $50 and $100. It's a platform for individual investors. It's a platform for family offices, where we act as a sourcing arm and they get in our deals. And it's a platform for institutions too. And we've got deals where we got family offices, institutions, and individuals in on the same deal. I mentioned to you the liquidity and the secondary market importance, and you were trying to say it's AngelList, Republic, plus a bunch of others. Yes, that's why I said at the beginning, it's an end-to-end ecosystem like no other. You come to this platform, you don't need anywhere else to go to find the deal, to invest in the deal, to realize your returns on that deal, and to manage the whole process. So we're doing it compliantly in a regulated manner, but being able to present an end-to-end infrastructure for the whole private markets ecosystem. So we look at ourselves as a very different type of platform. And for us, actually, from our operations in sports, the minimum ticket is $1,000, but the average ticket has been $25,000. That puts us ahead of every single crowdfunding platform in the world, where the average is between $2,000 to $3,000. So basically, we're not really targeting the smaller tickets and breaking it down to the 50, 100, 200. It's just a certain level of accessibility and democratization to which we believe is what the people want and what type of investors need.
That's amazing, Hadi. And I love the innovation in here because you're kind of learning from the international markets and applying whatever works for this region. You're customizing that model. You're not just copying the model from Silicon Valley and trying to just replicate another company in there. You're trying to
100%.
customize that. Yeah.
100%, Ahmed. And we took that model, we refined it, we turned it into a regional product, but now we're taking that regional product global. So with the sports platform, most of our recent new investors and new users have actually been from the US and the UK and Europe. And don't ask me how, we don't do any business development there. So the word of
Word
mouth,
of mouth.
100%, 100%.
Exactly.
We don't do any marketing, by the way. We have no marketing spend. We don't have customer acquisition cost. So it's all word of mouth. The growth has just been because this space is very niche, attractive, interesting, and that's how Youssef and I even developed the relationship over sports, right? So we found that we could grow it in that way, in a very sustainable way, and people who are coming onto the platform are high quality leads, basically, people who want to explore sports and invest in sports. And our plan is to do the same, build the community around tech and ventures. And obviously, Youssef has already done that, and we just plan to scale that in a global manner. So we took a global product, refined it into a local product, and now we're taking that local product globally.
Now let's move to a story from the syndicate. You guys invested in eBoost. Let's talk about that, Jamie.
Yeah, for sure. It seems only fitting to do so. I get the inside scoop on exactly why they have backed eBoost. So eBoost AI, so as mentioned, they raised seed funding for Qora71, founded back in 2024 by Christian G. Pastrana. Essentially replaces the traditional real estate sales funnel with AI-powered virtual agents. Virtual agents are everywhere. I cannot wait to be replaced myself in due course.
No.
No, I can't wait. I'm just going to send my agents on this podcast, I think, in future. here, Ahmad, and you can just fill in on my behalf. I look forward to it. I actually cloned my voice for the first time the other day on 11 Labs, which is super exciting. So going forward, there is actually the possibility that I can just send you a script and, sort of an avatar, and that'll
Your
do
avatar
the job.
would be talking to us. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it'll work. But look, in any case, virtual agents personalize buyer journeys through emotional profiling. So integrates directly into the developer's CRM, voice and chat channels, payment systems. It's all fully white labeled and performance linked. Look, metrics are super impressive. In only 12 months, it says it's activated 197 units across 5 projects. Currently has $1.9 billion in signed contracts and 1.5 billion in late stage negotiations as well, and great geographic spread as far as that's concerned as well. You've North America, Europe, the Middle East. So something you mentioned as well, Youssef, I said I was going to quote yourself to yourself. I'm going to do that now, if that's okay. You mentioned, Evus checks every box, and something in particular I think that you mentioned was the defensible AI. What in particular is defensible, or can you expand a small bit on exactly why Evus was such a compelling opportunity to back?
Definitely. So I think breaking it into one white ticks every box, what we've been discussing so far, it's an exclusive deal. So it was only open for Qora71, effectively the only investor onboarded. They would only kind of engage with VCs after the summer, because effectively they're signing up, they're converting this $1.5 billion pipeline into actual sign, which will obviously increase the valuation substantially, and hence being able to provide a completely exclusive deal to our syndicate members, but then make it accessible to them by effectively kind of pooling the ticket. The reason we're able to do that is it's a Spanish company that's relocating to Abu Dhabi via Hub71, and hence we're supporting them on this relocation and sales here. For example, Ali has already put them in touch with one of the top developers and brokerages in the Middle East, and hence why they're opening it up something that they're not opening up to anyone else. It's exactly the type of deals we wanna do. The defensibility comes from the fact that, one, they're signing exclusive deals. So once they effectively sign the development, they make a commission on any unit that gets sold, and hence you're not competing with the existing team, with other brokers like a conventional model. It's basically yours. You know the commission will come. It's just over time. Second is the founders already had a real estate business. So they built AI agent to replicate the exact workflows that they were doing, but just automating it. So they're not second guessing. They're doing exactly what they were doing, but automating it. So you have these two levels that really give you this defensibility.
Can someone explain to our audience what emotional profiling is?
So today, effectively, you fill an expression of interest to buy an off-plan unit. A developer launches the project, they get flooded with 50,000 expressions of interest. Now they have a limited team. All what they have is emails and phone numbers, and they don't know who to call. And they can't go through the entire list. So they pick however many thousand they can, they call them, and then they try to sell them deals. What Evus instead will do is effectively would start chatting or calling with AI all of these 50,000 people who filled the list, and start asking them questions. And based on that question, start to, one, either try to close the deal with the AI, or if they can, at least profile them and prioritize. So based on the questions, assessing what's your actual propensity to buy. Are you really a buyer, or are you just doing a price discovery and just putting an expression of interest everywhere? And that is effectively, for example, some of the questions you will get will be about which finishing you want, etc. And if you're just choosing the basic of everything and just kind of ticking all the boxes just to go through to register, then you're less likely to be serious about purchasing. So what they're trying to do is filter this list down based on chat, voice, and chat bots into an actionable list, hand it over to the sales agent to close it if they can't close it itself. And then the full loop is using this data to then create an autonomous marketing campaign that plays on the same emotion and behavior demonstrated in the calls and voice in order to allure to the people for the sales based on what they were believed to demonstrate during conversation. So whatever words and text that kind of caught their interest become the feed for the next marketing campaign to spark people's interest in the next units. So the good thing is it's commission-based, i.e. I only get paid when I sell, which is great, but only me can sell, which I will sell. So effectively it aligns.
It's always exclusive. Okay.
So I only get paid when I sell. So the timing of payment is full skin in the game and full alignment. But I know, so for the developer, they only pay when they receive the money. But for us as an investor, we know that effectively we'll get this money over time because the contract is exclusive.
With many AI-based sales startups, they're popping up everywhere. They're trying to sell employees as AI employees, right? some of them with even avatars, not just a voice on the phone. Do you think that this kind of AI would genuinely create trust with the potential customers if they know later on that all of this is AI?
And I trust I will defer to Ali. He's the expert on, he's the one who's built social
Please, yeah.
networks. So he's the expert on that.
Look, I think at the end of the day, like this is a data play game. So look, it benefits the developers because they're getting real-time data and it helps them better compartmentalize their segments of land, right? So basically you have the developer, he doesn't know the ratio of 1 to studio to 2 bedrooms. And when you have an AI, think of it this way. Which machine learning engine is the most powerful machine learning engine in the world that advertisers use? It's Facebook, it's Meta ads. Think about this, real estate. Think about this, infrastructure. If you had it, using the customer persona profiling of as many users as you can. Of course, this is why the utility of it increases when more developers are on board and why you're hearing all those crazy numbers. But this is essentially what is game-changing in my eyes. That's why I personally invest, because I was extremely mesmerized by how efficient, effective, and how this could transform just the way developers actually scale and thus understand their best end users. And so this is sort of my personal take on that.
And Ali, how do you think about this AI content interaction with humans? Like you run a content, one of the biggest content platforms in MENA, right? What do you think about AI generated content? How humans engage with it, and will we reach a stage where we trust it and engage with it like humans?
Yeah, look, there's a dichotomy in that. Of course, we want the real human beings, and we want to be in with actual connection, and connection is very important. But let me put it this way. Instead of having an agency come in and develop your content plan and whatnot, AI actually helps save time, money, and effort. So that if you have 24 hours in the day and you have all this, content to go through, it's like, you're a presenter of a TV show, you have all this information. AI helps you just sieve the most important piece of information to get quicker to your end user and to perform your tasks in a much more efficient way. So that's on one model. On another model, some people may benefit and may have trust and credibility for AI in specific things. Now, it really depends on the nature of the business, right? If you want to speak to an AI companion in mental health, for example, this works. It works because you're data-driven. You want to know, it's just like any hardware as a service, Whoop or whatever, right? So using AI for specific services or for specific utility helps a lot. But technically, to use AI as content for connectivity in other realms, it really depends on the appetite of users. We're seeing more appetite now because there's more comfort, more adaptability in ChatGPT, and less fear. But again, this is a habitual transformation that is currently in progress. And as of now, what I personally see moving forward, I'm very optimistic. But to what extent and to which sectors more than others, this is something that's still a conversation in chat, and me and Youssef and all the other enthusiasts are still seeing.
Perfect. Okay, so now, Jamie, let's move to a fun and crazy topic. What's happening with Labubu?
I have no idea. I don't even know what this is.
Okay.
Youssef knows a lot, I think.
Yeah, I got to defer to you. Do you know what, Youssef? I seen you posting about this on LinkedIn as well, and I was like, I don't know.
So,
as I told Ahmad before he started off, Ahmad, I was like, okay, we've like physical NFTs now, and I was like, okay, cool.
except they are fungible, so they're like fungible NFTs
exactly,
in a funny way, right? But so I posted like 2 weeks ago. It was like going for like $4,000. I was like, we missed this, right? Because it was like the company has already gone up like 5x in terms of value. It's now a $40 billion company. 2 weeks later, the auction, it goes for like $150,000, right? So I think if I had saved my time posting and focused instead of like buying stock and buying actual events, it would have been like much better than posting. But at least I get the follows, if nothing else.
Who knows about this? How did this all start? Ali, maybe you know.
Yeah, Ali definitely, because I think it started with one of the influencers, Ali marketing it, right?
Look, I just I don't have much intel on this specific case. I find it extremely fascinating, but I can talk broadly on the creator economy. And all I can tell you is that, recently, Youssef, I connected you to one of the smartest, content creators in the region. She was the one who brought Mr. Beast to Cairo. But we're seeing the sheer amount of innovation in this space take, stories like what we've just heard to a whole nother level, because they have their communities, they have different strategies, they're able to play on FOMO very well. And so all I can say is what we're going to see in the next sort of year to 5 years is the creator economy model like completely topple off on its head, because we're seeing people who own their own communities and are able to monetize those communities in ways that we haven't seen before, by owning their entire data integration, by not leaving, social media channels completely dictate their careers.
Hadi, maybe that also, we talk a little bit about the potential third platform, right? Because that's the whole idea, right?
On King's Crowd, we aggregate equity crowdfunding, but also we started later on aggregating debt, revenue-based financing, and even collectible items like sneakers, NFTs, trading cards, and now dolls, apparently.
Yeah.
So would
And
you,
maybe
Hadi, start a new vertical?
content-based financing now.
Yeah.
I mean, exclusive one at a time, Ahmed. We don't want to share everything now. We can.
Oh, okay.
No, but look, there's a lot in the pipeline for us. You touched on credit, and we're actually planning on introducing a debt, basically, platform across the different alternatives that we're working on. So basically, you'll be able to invest in credit in sports, or credit in ventures, or venture debt, and that's something we want to grow. Nothing imminent, but that's in the pipeline for sure. To Youssef's point, we might have a third platform, which is around creators. We think this is a creators economy. We think people are now following brands and following people, not brands anymore. They care more about the person, not about the name of the brand. And there's so much brand equity in people today. So if these people are businesses, and these content creators are businesses, and the way we see it is we need to find a way to basically monetize them, and then also be part of that ourselves as a journey. And Youssef and I are both very big on content and content creators, so that's something else in the pipeline. But other than that, Ahmed, the plan is to roll out platforms across all alternatives. We want to have a specific platform for funds and funds only, which is more closer to Moonfair, but the plan is to just list funds and make it highly exclusive funds that people cannot reach. Content is one, maybe even film and entertainment separate later on. So there is a lot in the pipeline, but everything that's happening, you'll be the first to know. Don't worry.
But Hadi, how do you measure the appetite and the community of investors for any new vertical? Do you run experiments? How do you do that?
So the way we decided on the ventures is obviously looking at what Youssef did and what Qora71 and the numbers and the community built behind it. And the idea is, if we find the right partner to basically either acquire, partner up with, roll out something in as a combination, we would. Or else, if we see a big opportunity and we see market sentiment, then we would roll it out on our own. Today, we're in the alternative space. We get a lot of feedback. We speak to a lot of customers, whether individuals, family offices, and funds. And based on this feedback, we've already iterated the product a bit. We've already changed the existing models a bit, but that feedback can also lead to newer and newer products later on. So it's a combination, and it's where we spot the opportunity. With Youssef, everything aligned, and I think it's a perfect fit, perfect match. That could happen again, and that could be us, together rolling out something else later on. So we'll have to see how that plays out.
How do you balance community excitement or trend following with actual business fundamentals? Can too many investors chase vibe over value? And have you seen examples of that?
Yes, and I think that's where the curation point that Hadi mentioned is very important, because obviously today investors will reward you based on getting them, quote unquote, the hottest deals. But in a few years, they will reward you based on the performance. And even if they're the ones chasing these deals, they hold you accountable as the kind of finance professional, investment professional, or the investing platform to make sure that the right diligence and curation has been done, right? So that's why, while some of these collectibles, for example, is great as an engagement topic for people to understand more about content and virality and FOMO and what can create value in the shorter term, they're not necessarily what we're offering on the platform. But what we're offering is we're telling people, let's look at this idea of FOMO, virality, social status, social scarcity, and then look at which businesses are utilizing this in a more sustainable way. So for example, we've invested in Halo AI, which connects micro and nano influencers with brands and creators. So we've invested in the AI matching and the autonomous generation, not in the underlying item itself, which may or may not be trendy tomorrow. So we try to be more in the infrastructure and enablement layer to make these bets and these viralities happen, as opposed to in one specific viral trend.
Okay, so for the next story, Ali, it seems that you know more about this more than anyone else in here. Can you tell us what's happening in Cannes?
Walid, the CEO of Creator North, is having an incredible panel with some of the top influencers, and I think it's very important content creators. And by the way, it's very important to distinguish the influencers and content creators. I mean, the term influencer is now dying, and creating content and the creator economy is now living, because what are you influencing and based on what? But when you're creating and you have a defensible sort of business model, you are a professional creator, you know how to actually set a business model, and therefore you last. You don't have a shelf life of 1 year, I blow up on Snapchat and then voila, nothing else. So it's very important. This is why I kind of use those words with very, very high level of sensitivity. But what's happening in Cannes is we have some of the best content creators in the Middle East sitting on a panel, actually giving us, our region, a voice as to how important it is to narrow the lines and the relationships between content creators and brands, because now social commerce is imploding. People buy from other people. People have more trust in human beings. We have high amounts of data that show that the right combination partnerships between brands and influencers generate enormous amount of enterprise value. And so this is why we're very excited that we're having some representation in Cannes. It's arguably one of the biggest advertising conferences in the world. And I'm just super honored to just be indirectly a part of it.
Since we're talking about content creators, let's talk what's truly investable in the creator economy. VCs, they used to dismiss content as not venture backable, or it's not venture scale. It's not gonna create billion-dollar companies. What's changing today?
The content itself might not, the underlying business that can come out of it is what will. Right, today, what's the easiest go to market? It's partnering up with an influencer. If you're introducing a new brand, whether that's in F&B or in retail or a pair of sunglasses, anything that you're doing, the easiest way to market is to go through influencers. The way today we decide what to buy, what to eat, is through TikTok and Instagram and what people are saying and the people that we follow. So yeah, the people themselves, they're not going to be monetized in there, but the underlying products will. And that's why you see a lot of the people that build a good following on Instagram or TikTok, they a year or two later roll out their own brands. If someone is making a meme about investment bankers, and that's because I used to see that content a lot, they start their own vest brand or their own shirt brands, and people buy it, right? So once you build a following, you've got 500,000 people that follow your content, and they will be interested. Let's say not all of them will buy. They're all high quality leads to the product that you will issue around that content, right? So I think, yeah, if you look at it from a very high level, content is not monetizable, even though you can get some returns from the platforms themselves. It's the business that you build around those content. And this is why today everyone, and I can speak to the sports space, everyone is involving athletes in their businesses and in their products, and that they say they're partners, then they could have just 1% or 2% or 5% or whatever it is. And they say they're co-founders, and it's all in together because you need those platforms, because those platforms can accelerate your growth. And if you manage to use the audience that you have and the voice that you have to create businesses out of it, it's much quicker and much better than anything else. And I think Youssef has even more in-depth opinions on that topic.
No, I fully understand that. You take, for example, Huda Beauty and Kayali for Mona Kattan as examples. These are multi-billion-dollar businesses because of who Huda and Mona are, and they managed to build them kind of into that. And Ali talked about like how the proliferation of content. Hadi talked about investing in the content creators. We're also now working, and that's kind of one of the things that we're launching in Cannes Lions is Creator North, which is that bridge. How do you take viral content creators and build businesses for them that then become investable on Stryde, right? And investable in general. But that's the piece, right? And it's basically, it can be a physical product, it can be a platform, it can be any type of basic monetization channels for these creators, right? You see someone like Ghandour today, the in Egypt, he reached 20 million views per episode. Then he's doing a tour, like going around the world. He's basically a voiceover on cartoon. He has a lot of different things coming out. You have Mukhbil Iqtisadi. He now has his own financial products. He has his own platform. So this is going to continue to be a trend, and more than a trend, it will continue to be kind of deep monetization channels which can extend the life. And I think if you look at it in the US, people do end up investing in the earnings as well. You have NFL players where you invest in the IPO of the player with an insurance policy to protect you if the player gets injured, right? So that's what we ultimately want to see, is continued investing in the earnings and monetization of these creators and campaigns, and the indexing and the fund creation around that is one of the biggest opportunities.
When we say content creators, it's not just investing in the people themselves or the content itself, right? It's investing in, let's say, the holding company. If you think of it, an event model, right? It's everything that comes under that umbrella.
Youssef, you mentioned a lot of these examples, and they're amazing. And we also have Tammania, for example. They have multiple shows, but the umbrella that hosts them all is the big company that people are investing in.
And they just won the broadcasting rights for the Saudi Football League.
Yes.
And all of a sudden it's evolving from a podcasting platform into probably what's going to become the biggest media group in the Middle East, right? And that evolution, and you see the same globally, right? You see Amazon, etc., buying a lot of gaming rights. So I think it's the new world, right? Where again you're starting from online and streaming, etc., but then you're also capturing the underlying physical world with you.
But Youssef, now in your new role, for the founders that are watching us today, what would you be interested in to list on Stryde or invest in through Stryde?
I think we look for very large market size. Ultimately, this is whether it's venture, whether it's sports investment, when people come to private markets, they're looking for disproportionate returns, right? Because otherwise they can do real estate and public equities. They're coming in and effectively, while Stryde is going at very long strides in solving the liquidity kind of point, it's still a relatively more illiquid asset class compared to real estate and public equity. So you need to compensate for that with higher returns, and the market size needs to enable for that. Second is the traction, right? And that traction is not only financial traction. It can be financial, it can be followers, it can be content, but it's something that really demonstrates that there is an engagement. The market is engaging with your product, is in hunger for your product, and wants it. The team. So clearly, ultimately, you're investing at the end of the day, whether you're investing in a founder-led brand, in a sports of a team, whether you're investing in the people really behind that, behind the tech, behind the platform. And you really want to see a superstar team that is really dedicated to solving this kind of problem and delivering on it. So I think if you have the right people kind of going for a big enough market and they're demonstrating that there is real interest in the product that they're offering, and obviously if it's a tech, the defensibility point you mentioned before, then you have a recipe for success. It will evolve, it will go through ups and downs, but you're kind of on the right North Star.
Perfect. Okay, let's end with this. And please be honest. I'll ask two things for each of you. What's the craziest collectible item that you invested in? And if you had to invest in one Arab creator right now, who would it be and why? No generic answers, just give me your hot takes.
And I already delivered what I was saying deliver, which is Ali's music. So I already put where my mouth is. Ali sings in 3 languages: Arabic, English, and Spanish. He's probably the only one in the Middle East who does 3 language songs. He performs under the Cairo Kid brand on Anghami and Spotify, and he's definitely the next big thing. Already betting on that.
Yeah. I mean, thank you, Youssef. Yeah, I mean, we're on set, we're shooting. I'm taking the Mr. Beast model. We're doing a lot of stuff, and I've consulted an artist that went to Coachella back in 2021. So I'm super excited to be doing this for myself. An Arab Algerian artist. When I went onto Forbes and I saw the model being reinvented, and now we're so excited to do that. For me, the most craziest idea, I'll just leave it there. Would be a series that I have no idea how I'm going to sell, but we have actors. I think that's a collectible because you can make so many things out of it. And the creator I would invest in, she's called Farah Al-Kurdi. She's basically Mr. Beast's friend. She has the mentality of the US. And so every time I speak to her, she's just, I mean, if she wasn't in the creator economy, she would have been a tech CEO.
Okay, we'll add links to all of these in the description. Hadi.
Question is, the first one is the collectible that you invested in, and then a creator that you would invest in now. Is that the question? Okay, the first one on the collectibles, I have a pair of Kobe Bryant signed shoes.
Oh, okay.
That was the,
Nice.
that was a pair of shoes before the helicopter crash, which wasn't that expensive. After the helicopter crash, it was a bit more expensive, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll keep hold on to those shoes. A creator that I would invest in. It's a very good question. Given the love for sports, probably like Speed, because what he did, the guy is like sitting next to the top notch people in the sports, and everyone knows him, and that's all just by being a streamer. It's insane. If someone spotted that guy a couple of years ago, this guy on his own is for me is now worth billions of dollars somehow, some way, if you can monetize it. So I would invest in Speed.
Before we wrap up, a big thanks to OCTA for sponsoring today's episode.
If you want to get paid faster, access financing, and automate your receivable process, head to weareocta.com. That is WEAREOCTA.com, and take control of your accounts receivable today.
Well, with that, thank you so much, Hadi, Youssef, and Ali. And thank you, Jamie, for, of course, bringing us the news every week.